Hello Scorpio, it's Luke Vulgarakish from LV Life and welcome to your tarot reading for 2024. Now, this is for anyone that's a Scorpio sun, moon or rising. I'm Scorpio moon, so I'm excited to see what comes out. So we'll start with 3 cards to give us a general overview of your 23 to 24 transition. And then we'll do 12 cards, one for each month of the year. And then finally, we'll summarize with another 3 cards. Let's see what we've got. Right, these are your first 3, your transition between 23 and 24. So as we start here, we've got the Queen of Swords. So this is very much about learning a lot of lessons in 23 around some of the battles and challenges that you faced in your life, really learning to rise above those. So it's no longer about being actively involved in battles. It's more about learning, how do I rise above it? How do I see the bigger picture? How do I play the long game? So I don't know, I'm kind of thinking that perhaps in 22 and earlier you faced a lot of battles, and in 23 you've really been learning about them. Like, they're not necessarily been active, but you've been learning about why they happened. And that really lands you on this Queen throne here. And then when we move to the next card, we've got this 6 of Wands. Now, 6 of Wands are about people getting on board with you. So I wonder, as you're learning to rise above some of these battles and not get involved in everything, but be a little bit more wise and have a bigger or a wider overview, you're finding that actually people are starting to celebrate you for that. Rather than relationships or things being frictious, you're starting to be more celebrated. And people are marching alongside you and they want to know what you've got to say and what you're about, and they want to tap into your wisdom and intuition. So I think really you've been on quite a journey in 23, but not one that's been active with battles, but one that's been reflective of those things, which has really helped you to grow. And then we've got this Ace of Swords, and I really feel like this is the victory card, right? I feel that whatever it is that you've been, and of course this is the transition from 23 to 24, my view here is, funnily enough, my brother is Scorpio, and I'm just resonating actually with this for his story. 22 was hard. 23 was like, oh, what happened in 22? Now I've got to think about it all and reflect on it and process it all. And I feel like 24 is you really succeeding in the battle here, like the winning of it. The victory is coming out of the other side. And when I see this hand coming out of the cloud, it's very much for me like a gift from the universe, like something that's just the universe has just been waiting to deliver you, but you've had to be ready. So you needed this 2023 to get ready, to understand the lessons and the growth. So yeah, this is kind of exciting to see what's going to come up now. So let's go for your month by month. So January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December. Right, let's have a look here what we got. Okay, let's begin in January. We have the Justice card. I mean, the clue's kind of in the title in regards to the Justice card, right? But it's come out in reverse. So let's talk about this. If you're awaiting justice, if you're awaiting an apology or some matters to be resolved or an explanation, I want to tell you that you may not get that closure that you need. And I feel like January is a time for you to say, I can move on without that closure. Maybe one day I'll get it, or maybe one day I won't. I don't know. But the closure does not equal the happiness. The happiness you have to find yourself. So I think that this is saying to stop waiting around for that closure, stop waiting around for that solution or for justice to be served, but just accept that that may or may not happen, but you can move on anyway, and you can enjoy every day anyway. So I think there's a real big lesson in January for you. And this really links to February because the February card is the Five of Pentacles. And in this Five of Pentacles, what you can see is there are two people kind of out in the cold. One's got a broken leg. It's all snowy. They're looking down. They're focusing on all the things that are going wrong. They're focusing on all of the crap parts of their lives. But they're not looking up. If they were to look up, they would see excuse me, I just sneezed. Bless me. That just came out of nowhere. You will see that the stained glass window is there. There's warmth behind it. There's safety behind it. So it's about looking up. It's about stop focusing on the things that are going wrong and start focusing on the opportunities that you have. Not necessarily things that are going right, because maybe nothing is going right. You know, we get times in our lives when that's true, and that's okay. But focus on the opportunities. Look up, look into the light, find a safe space. I guess this kind of stained glass window represents a church, which historically could have been a safe, warm, welcoming environment. I mean, maybe not so much now. But look up for that safe place, look for that warmth, look for the opportunities that are kind of awaiting you. There is community and safety and support and things all there for you. So it's okay to not be out in the cold on your own. You can ask for help. You can find that safe space. So I do think that this January, February are really connected around moving from the pessimistic more towards the realistic, where, you know, you may not get the answers and solutions that you want, and life may not be fully wonderful as you would like it to be, but there is still people that love you, there is still safety, there is still something to look forward to, and you know, you just got to reach out for that stuff. So yeah, it's very much a connected journey there, I find. And then we come to March, and we've got a 5 in the February and a 5 in the March. Now 5 are a little bit disruptive, but not necessarily in a bad way. They're more warnings rather than disruption. 5 is about, you can see a group of people here that are kind of fighting away with these wands, but there's no swords involved. They're not actually having a fight. It's all meaningless. It's all pointless. So can't hurt anyone with wands. So it's very much about not getting involved in the drama in March, not getting involved in other people's opinions or views or trying to justify things or argue with people. Just stay clear of the drama in March, right? So your first 3 months of the year are about powering through, using a really realistic approach to things and really being open and willing to step into something better for yourself, like taking action to step into something better rather than focusing on what's going wrong. Because when we move into April, things are really starting to brighten up. So in April, we have got this 6 of Pentacles. Now, this is about restoring balance back, not just in your life, but kind of in the world, really. You can see this person here, he's carrying the scales and he's well dressed and he's kind of feeding the hungry. You don't literally have to go out and feed the poor. I mean, you can, it's a lovely thing to do. But this is very much about restoring that balance. And I think that the lessons that you learn through January, February, March are going to have a bit of a mindset shift for you, where you're starting to recognize that life isn't all miserable and that you've got a lot to offer the world, and perhaps your experiences are going to resonate with other people. And you can use your experiences to support and help people, just as people have helped and supported you if you ask them. Particularly in February, you need to ask for help, right? So it's almost like returning the favor, or kind of turning the, I don't know, the coin. I don't know what the saying is. But yeah, it's very much about being in a much better place in April, where you're able to give better. And then we move into May, and we've got the Star card, which is the rebirth. Now, this comes after the Tower usually, but this is in its reverse position. So the rebirth here, this Star card, is very much about the nudity is kind of exposure or fear of being vulnerable. But you can see here that this person is kind of, as they have this rebirth, they start again. They're now starting to water, they're not just focusing on one terrain, the water, they're focusing on both terrains, the water and the land, and they're feeding both. And then the stars are kind of shining super bright above. So this is very much like the previous card about balance. I feel like it's a rebirth based on balance, but I feel like it's like emotional, internal balance, like this harmonious inner version of you that hasn't been harmonious for a while, that perhaps has been too much focused on the pessimistic. It's about rebirthing the mindset, bringing back balance into your mindset to make you feel better, to feel like you're nurturing yourself. And actually, then in the world, things will start to change. When the inside changes, the outside changes. So, yeah, this is very important time for you, the first kind of 5, 6 months of the year. Very important growth time for you. It's kind of the kind of last pieces of the puzzle from 23. And then, so this is June, the 6th month. And we have here this person who's kind of sneaking away with a few swords there and leaving a couple behind by these tents. They kind of look like circus tents. And this is really very much about picking and choosing your battles. I feel like you've been fighting for so long. And I know that we discussed that maybe in 23 you weren't fighting as much, but the battles were still present in terms of having to learn from them. But I feel like you've got so much wisdom now that you recognize what is worth getting involved in and what is worth not. So it's very much about picking and choosing your battles. So if stuff crops up, because stuff always crops up in our lives, but if stuff crops up in June, you don't have to fight it. You don't have to get involved in everything. Some battles are just kind of laughable, and that's what these two swords by these circus-looking tents are really about. Some things are just pointless and laughable and absolute waste of your time. And so really understanding what's worth getting involved in June and what's not. And then when we move to July, we've got the Knight of Cups. The Knight of Cups here in reverse. And you can see the knight isn't charging into battle, the knight is coming back from battle victorious. And cups represent emotions or relationships in this reverse position. I would say emotions. So I feel like emotionally you're getting into a really good place now. You're really starting to feel stronger inside than perhaps you felt for a long time. And starting to perhaps even feel a little bit victorious about the way that you've sorted out your internal wounds. Yeah, so I mean, it's a really good card for feeling great about yourself in July. And then August, we come to the Lover's card. And again, it's in reverse. But when I see a winged character in a card like this at the top, for me, it represents something that's been divinely orchestrated for you. And I believe, and you may or may not, that we all live many different lives. And that as we come into each life, we pop a few things on our timeline, a few events, a few people. And I feel like this is something that's been waiting to happen for you. And I feel that this Lover's card it can be about two physical people coming together or separating. But in the reverse position, I think is you coming together with yourself. Like it's you letting go of the old you and really embracing the new you. Like finally understanding who you are and why and really getting connected with that and feeling good from the inside in a way that you haven't before. But I think that this is the time that it's happened at this time now for a reason. Because if this would have happened 5, 10 years ago, you wouldn't have been ready. And you wouldn't have known or had any of the life experience that would have given you an idea of who you're supposed to be and why and how you're supposed to feel and why. So I feel like this is the time. So your summer is looking really positive in terms of personal growth and really starting to step into your own. And then we get to September. We've got the Four of Swords. There are three of them that are hung up and there's one that's laid down. And this person is resting. And the resting is the important part. And this came out in reverse again. when we have swords hung up, it represents battles that we're still learning from, not that they're physically active, but that we're still learning from. But the resting element is what's important here. The resting is about, I feel like this is you kind of dotting the I's and crossing the T's in terms of the things that you've gone through and summing it all up and finally getting to a place of conclusion. And I feel like it's putting to bed. I mean, I feel like that's this resting element here. It's like putting to bed all of this stuff now, like all of the stuff of the past that's been haunting you for the last year to 18 months, like just putting that all to bed and being kind of done with battles for now and just taking that rest and that peace and that space to exhale. And then we move on to October. And we've got here the Seven of Pentacles, somebody just admiring the fruits of their labor. And for me, it's like, now you've managed to put everything to bed, you can feel and observe how good things really are, really looking at what you actually have, what is good in your life. And really recognizing it starting to blossom and bloom now. And then in November, you get a fabulous mini dress. This is the Page of Swords. And of course, you've had all of this sword energy going on throughout this reading because all of these are things that you've been learning. And here you are as a page, and a page is a little bit like an intern. You're starting over, but from a place where you are ready to create, to kind of take on the world. You feel rested and ready now to start really following the challenges that you want to follow, getting involved in the battles you want to battle with, but the positive stuff, you know, the things that are going to get you where you want to be, achieve the things that you want to achieve, the kind of challenges that bring joy into your life and that fulfill you and make you feel really good. Now is the time to start stepping into that. This is kind of your new pathway in November. And then in December, we've got this Four of Cups in reverse. And you've got this little hand coming up the cloud again, offering you, I feel like it's a light bulb moment in December. It's a little bit of contemplation. So perhaps just because it's December, you're looking back at your year and thinking, oh, wow, you know, a lot happened. And I learned a lot and I grew a lot and I'm feeling really good. And then I feel like this is a light bulb moment that's going to drop in. I don't know what that is, but it's going to drop in, and I feel like it's going to be really pertinent for your 2025. So yeah, I'm excited to see what that light bulb moment is. So let me just do a summary 3 cards for you. Nice. Okay, good. So King of Pentacles in reverse came out today. So that is about, I mean, we started with the Queen of Swords with this, didn't we? This is very much the king in terms of like getting this throne, but being really overwhelmed by it. So I think particularly in the first part of this year, you kind of got a lot of internal, this came out reverse, I said you've got a lot of internal growth still to do. Maybe it's a little more intense at the beginning of the year than it has been. So don't let it overwhelm you, right? This is all a self-worth challenge. This is what, you know, upright, this is physical worth. Reversed is self-worth. So this is very much landing in your throne for your self-worth, but not letting it overwhelm you, knowing that it's really worth it, knowing that it's all happening because you know this is your throne, this is where you're meant to be, but just allow it to just you know, kind of try and embrace and enjoy the experience rather than it feeling like a drain at the beginning of the year, because you've got great, wonderful things to learn, and you can pull yourself out of this stuff because you've got the toolkits, and bring yourself into a really positive place, ready for the spring. And then we move on to the Two of Cups. It was in reverse. Again, this winged character, so something that's been divine. This Two of Cups is like people reconnecting. One person is kind of putting their hand forward to another and kind of extending the olive branch, I guess, but in reverse. I feel like in reverse, this is saying you don't need to re-establish connections with everyone and everything. Like, if, oh, I don't know if I'm feeling that actually. I'm trying to look at this in relation to the rest of your reading, and we had the Lovers card and about kind of finding yourself and who you are. I'm wondering maybe if this is you, like reconnecting with yourself in a sense of like extending the olive branch to yourself, giving yourself permission to do the inner work, giving yourself permission to um, learn to like yourself or to love yourself or to heal yourself or to grow yourself or to just think differently about yourself. I feel like this is a permission card. It's you extending the olive branch to you, because both of these cards, the Lovers and this, had that winged character. They're both two people. They're both, I think, very much about your internal growth. Yeah, I think that makes more sense. And then we move on to the World card, which is your last one, which is you can have it all. Obviously, the World card, clues in the title here. You've still got a little bit more of this exposure, this vulnerability going on, but I mean, in a really positive, nice, light way. Like, this is a really prominent card to have at the end of your reading here, and I think it really summarizes particularly this kind of October, November time where you're starting to recognize what you truly got and then how you really want to move forward. And I feel like this is saying the world is your kind of opportunity, the world is your oyster, as they say. Um, and perhaps this light bulb moment coming in December is very much about this is what I want now, and I know it now, and I don't know why I've gone through everything that I have, because this is it. So I'm really excited to see how that pans out for you. So please do let me know if that resonated or as it resonates throughout the year. I love to hear from you. You can leave me comments or send me messages. I just love to know what's going on with people. If you would like this as a more personalised reading, I have an offer for £24 for the year of 2024 to get this reading. And I can do that with you via video call, or we can do in person at my Wellbeing Centre in Fareham. And also on the 4th of February, I'm doing a day-long workshop around how to read tarot in the way that I read it, which is trying to access it intuitively and by storytelling, rather than relying too much on textbooks or spreads. So yeah, if you want to engage with any of those, please do reach out. My details will be in the description of this video. And I very much look forward to hearing about your 24. Take care. Bye-bye.